right. Good. So for this, we talked about the full faith and credit a little bit yesterday. We had alluded to or mentioned the fact that these records, documents such as birth certificates, licenses, deeds, property card registrations, those are all um, Ohio things, but they're accepted everywhere we go. Right? So if you register your car in Ohio, it's officially still registered in California. You may have to update it once you move to California, and you'll eventually have to update your license and update your addresses and all those different things when you get there. Um, but for the most part, full faith and credit allows them to be accepted all over the country. Regarding to judicial proceedings, the outcome of court actions, so damage awards. So just one of the things that we run into is, well, I'm in well, I'll give you guys a real example. My brother is divorced, um, and my sister, well, my ex sister in law, Amy, lives in New Jersey, and my brother lives in Ohio. All of the laws he has to follow regarding his um, child support and everything is under New Jersey law. Now, New Jersey is extremely strict, and they allow the mom to have a lot more leeway. So my brother has to pay astronomical amount of money for my niece in New Jersey. But and he's had a couple of lawyers in Ohio who have said to him, we would try to fight it, but New Jersey law, we have to follow their law because that's where she lives in New Jersey. So it's going to be very difficult if we want to fight it. But again, damaging awards, things from a different state to a different state, we have to follow the rules of those states. Full faith and credit has to be given. Um, Full faith and credit applies to civil matters. One state cannot cannot enforce another state criminal law. So we're dealing with the, again, kind of going back to the Jeffrey Dahmer thing. I mentioned this a while back. If he gets caught in Michigan, then he has to suffer Michigan rules, Michigan laws. Ohio has its own laws. So I can't enforce Michigan laws in Ohio. Right? So for full credit, they need to give certain divorce. This was actually a story I came across with divorce. A man and woman traveled to Nevada to get divorced so they could marry one another. They were married. And they lived in North Carolina. North Carolina had a different divorce law in regards to how long you must be divorced, a couple different things. So they were like, oh, we'll just go to Nevada and have Nevada divorce us. We'll get married in Nevada, and then we're good to go. Well, they came back, and the court said, yeah, no. You are a resident of North Carolina. You weren't living in Nevada for a long period of time. Like if you guys are going to college, anybody potentially going to going to college out of state or looking to go out of state. Okay, so what I found, I had a girl I coached years ago whose dad lived in North Carolina, so he was a resident of North Carolina. Therefore, she was able to claim all of the residence benefits of North Carolina. Some people will try to move the states to get those benefits from colleges, but the colleges figured this out early on and said, okay, in order to qualify for this stuff, you have to be a resident of the state of North Carolina. I believe it's for 450 days. Then we'll officially declare you a resident, and then you qualify for all this stuff. Because what was happening, people were just randomly moving to the state and claiming I'm a resident because I have my address in the state and trying to claim all these benefits. Same thing if you guys go to LCCC, there's perks for living in Lorain County and going to Lorain County Community College. When I was going to Cleveland, Cuyahoga Community College up in Parma, I was putting my parents' address because they're residents of Cuyahoga County. And I used to live there, but I would get, because if I'm from Medina County going to Cuyahoga County, it's more expensive. Right, so the same thing kind of happens with full faith and credit. There are limitations on that, right? I can't take advantage of those situations too much. The extradition one is actually one that's, I just mentioned the whole Jeffrey Dahmer thing, right? So a person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime who shall flee from justice and be found in another state shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state from which they fled, be delivered up to be removed to the state having a jurisdiction of the crime, right? So the whole Dahmer thing is exactly this extradition situation. He was caught in Michigan. Ohio's governor asked Michigan's governor, we would like him to come back here for the crime. We found all the evidence. The governors do not have to allow this, though, right? So from 61 to 1987, governors interpreted shall as may, allowing governors to refuse extradition from other states. So state to states, the governors do not have to do that. However, the federal courts can order the governor to extradite someone back to the federal statute, federal government. Right. So if John Wilkes Booth fled to California after shooting Lincoln or the area of uh, the governor of California couldn't say, nope, we're not going to do that. No, 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 I have to. Now, going again, we're looking at 87 when this was declared, but I can't remember what the case was that happened in, because they claimed that the states, the governor could keep them here and punish them for crimes. It may have even been one of the spies that they caught in the 80s. That was a Soviet Union Soviet spy. They were living in Virginia, and they found them in Virginia, and so Virginia was saying, "Well, no, it's Virginia rules. We'll try them in our cases." And the federal government said, "No, it's a federal case. We're bringing this to us. You have no authority to stop us." Again, there's that supremacy clause kind of kicks in right there. So state to state, they can say no, but the state to federal, no. Sorry, you're stuck. You guys good? Awesome. This one is, I always kind of chuckle because I always wonder what it would be like if Clevelanders and Pittsburghians had this ability to go after each other. Now, nowadays it's not as bad, but in the 80s, oh my gosh. Excuse me, 60s, 70s, 80s, that was a big, huge 90s, even rivalry between the Steelers and the Browns. But no state can draw unreasonable distinctions between its own residents and those who happen to live in another state. So if I'm coming in and I'm from New York and I have a horrible New York, I'm right, you're wrong attitude, doesn't matter. All the laws still apply to you the way that they apply to an Ohio. And I can't punish you just because you're a New Yorker. A New Yorkian? What would be the word? New Yorkin?
New Yorker.
New Yorker? But is that the city or is it the state? Yeah, we can say New York or state. Yeah, it could be from the state. Yeah. I always like Minnesotian, Michiganian. Anyways, there we go. Reasonable distinctions. A state can require someone to live in the state for a certain period of time. I just talked about this before she can vote or hold office. Ohio does this, so we looked. Remember, they had to have a residency here a certain amount of time before they run for office. License to practice law, medicine, dentistry. Those do change. Like teacher's license change from state to state. Mrs. Perry is from Indiana, Indiana. And when she came to Ohio, she got her license in Indiana, but then she had to apply in Ohio. She still runs into the issue when she has to re-up her license. She has to apply and do some stuff in Ohio to make sure that her Indiana license transfers to Ohio. And the same thing if I were to go someplace else. Some states have different qualifications. You have to take more classes or do more things in other states to update your license. So it does change from state to state. Yeah, that was another street I talked about already. Does anybody here know anyone who hunts or goes hunting? So if I go hunting in Pennsylvania, they can charge me more as an Ohio resident because I'm not a Pennsylvanian. But guess what, folks? That's it. That's it. That's the Constitution. As much as we need to have. That was great.